They came from different places around the world to stop the Russian terror. They left their safe and peaceful daily life behind in order to protect the innocent by force of weapons and courage. They can quit and leave at any moment, but most of them will fight till victory. They are doing the impossible on the battlefield, and they keep returning to the front line after being seriously wounded. They are the salt of the earth of our civilization. They are soldiers of the International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine.
I was a manager, a bakery manager back in Sweden. I had ended my army career for 8 years ago, and I was baking bread as manager or manager for that department. And I play death metal in a death metal band as a hobby. Of course, take care of my kids. They are now pretty grown up. The youngest is 17, but always there. You know, small kids, small problems, big kids, big problems.
Oliver is a highly skilled soldier with solid combat experience.
I have been serving in the Swedish Army since 1996 in different positions, but I'm trained as an Arctic Ranger, and a main task there was anti-tank unit moving through landscape to hit enemy tanks, and that's my training. I was in a couple of missions before, Kosovo, Macedonia, one in Afghanistan, and one short one in Liberia.
Oliver is a Swedish citizen with Estonian heritage. The full-scale Russian invasion started on the Estonian Independence Day, which he took as a personal insult.
It's my family history that told me that when 24th of February, when the war started, that everybody said it will not start because blah blah blah. It's actually Estonian Independence Day, and it was pretty confusing because we want to celebrate Independence Day on that day when Russia invaded Ukraine. And already before I said to my family that if the war will break up and start, I need to go. So they knew that, and the process before that was already ongoing.
Oliver, a soldier in the International Legion for Defense of Ukraine. Military background: service in the Swedish Armed Forces. Deployments in Kosovo, Macedonia, Afghanistan, Liberia. Combating the Russian invasion of Ukraine with the International Legion for Defense of Ukraine. Specialization: Arctic Ranger. Anti-tank warfare. Typical missions: destroying enemy tanks and armored vehicles. Leading the heavy weapons crews. Providing fire support to assault infantry teams. Casualty evacuation. Close quarters combat. Soldier praises his fellow teammates, as well as the true combat brotherhood, uniting the legionnaires.
All these guys that I have worked with have been here. It will be after. It'll be in the beginning when you meet. It's it's people that you never met before. After a week, you're like a family. You know exactly what kind of football team the other guy is holding on and cheering for, why he doesn't drink coffee, and how is his sleeping habits. You know everything about that person in pretty, you being like brothers and sisters in so fast time. It's impressive, but You know, also you learn to know each other's weaknesses, strengths, what you're good at, what you need support, and you actually help each other to maintain the order in team and support what's needed. And of course, that applies also for the fallen ones. Of course, they have been, all these guys have been fantastic soldiers, and I feel proud to been serving with them, and I hope I will see them all in Valhalla.
Oliver remembers his heaviest fight in all the details.
It was a couple of months ago when I was a part of a support team for 2 assault teams that was overtaking from our side, overtaking enemy positions and pushed them back into a tree line. And whole morning, 1 Rapira gun and 2 tanks shot at us continuously. Another fire from the tree line from Russians. So we actually fired probably everything we had in that tree line. 40mm grenades from grenade launchers, RPGs, AT4s, 5.56, 72 machine guns, and cleared the forest and kept them down. And it was pretty quiet there when we left. On the other side, I know that the assault teams got and took ground by their own and pushed up Russians also in position from their position. And we achieved our goal that day. We lost some guys.
After capturing the enemy's trenches, Oliver and his teammates had a chance to see the traces of Russian invaders' stay. The picture they saw was a green one.
Russian equipment, the burned one, is everywhere. Fantastic. Even whole functioning Russian equipment that they left behind, we have occasionally met up. And of course the trenches, the ration packs, the ammunition that they leave behind. When we come to the trenches, find all the rest, and the trench life is never fine. But I don't know, probably their officers don't tell them to clean the trenches up. One thing more I want to add, if it's okay. It is Russian corpses usually stay and sometimes in frontline villages that they actually don't take care of. So their own corpses they leave behind. And sometimes a couple of times we have actually rescued dogs that have been eat these corpses. So they have been there alone, now no food, and of course.
Oliver and his unit went through the hell of fighting for Bakhmut.
It's fierce. It's very fierce, intensive fighting, 24 hours a day. Heavy shelling, heavy machine guns, rockets. It's a position fighting between defensive position, offensive positions. It's tense, and it's costly, of course. I don't want to talk about maybe percents on how many dead Russians and how many dead Ukrainians, but of course Russians have enormous big losses there, enormous, but our losses are also big.
During the evacuation of a wounded teammate in Bakhmut area, Oliver was also wounded.
We got several wounded from that hit. So when he hit, we had one guy that went in point man position and carrying the weapons, because we carried the leader. So when we got hit and I realized that I'm hit, I shouted, "I'm hit, I'm hit." and the other guy had already taken cover and shouted, "Come to me, come to me." And that's the tactical way to do it. Take yourself out from the fire.
Even though the legionnaires have been hit by an enemy tank, they still managed to complete their initial mission of evacuating their comrade.
Yes. He's in hospital. He's doing fine. He's a strong one.
After medical treatment and a short vacation, Oliver plans to go back to the front line.
I will recover soon. Hope it seems like soon, and then a short vacation, and then back to unit.
Oliver's friends and fellow countrymen support him. Many of them came to Ukraine to fight or help the Ukrainian armed forces as volunteers.
Yeah, they're curious. And everybody back in, I probably go back to Sweden a couple of weeks. Everybody supports Ukraine. Everybody supports Ukraine. In our town, we have probably the biggest Ukrainian flag in our center. So in the center of the town. So people are really caring for and helping with voluntary work. A lot of Swedes are here. So it's you Ukrainians have shown world how to be united, and actually that spreads, because always also even there's in our countries you see the people are gathering around one cause just to help, and that's impressive.